All right, good evening. I will now call to order the Town Council meeting for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. If you would, please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first item on the agenda is the approval of the August 19, 2024 Town Council meeting memoranda. A copy's been posted. Are there any questions from councilors?
I had a couple corrections. Sorry. I had a couple corrections. Page 14 of 35. It says full the half, it should be full to half. Page 21, it says Norris says the 80 plus 95, it should be the 380 plus 95.
Any other questions from councilors or comments? I would make a motion to approve the meeting memoranda with Councilor Sampson's corrections.
Second.
I have a second from Councilor Norris. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is the approval of the 2024 payroll claims. Are there any questions from councilors? I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the August 2024 payroll claims.
Second.
I have a first from Councilor Stein, a second from Councilor Melton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is the approval of the September 3rd, 2024 claims. Questions from councilors, or I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the September 3rd, 2024 claims.
Second.
I have a first from Councilor Norris, a second from Councilor Sampson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is a request to speak on agenda items. Amy, do we have any requests to speak?
No, we do not.
All right, moving on to Mayor Administration Update, and we have Mayor Stair with us this evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Jason. Good evening, councilors. Good to see everybody on this beautiful evening. I just have a couple of things. First of all, as a quick update on the comprehensive plan. HWC has held 3 in-person sessions so far, one here at Town Hall, one in North Zionsville at the airport, and one in the former Perry Township Volunteer Fire Station in West Zionsville. They also had a virtual meeting on August 21st. Participation has been very strong, especially in the old Perry Township where there was standing room only. HWC is next going to seek an opportunity to engage with people at an upcoming farmers market and also at Fall Festival, and has set the next steering committee meeting tentatively for September 18th. The consultants are making a final push for people to fill out the online survey, after which we'll put together a report on the public participation in the process. They hope to do a round of stakeholder meetings through the middle of this month, and an initial report on the data collected is due by the end of September. And again, the next steering committee meeting is September 18th, and we will hopefully pull a lot of it together at that time. Also, a bit later in your agenda, we're going to be presenting an ordinance to create a designated outdoor refreshment area, which would allow people over the age of 21 to buy alcoholic drinks from approved vendors and restaurants and carry them outside within the door boundaries. Now, the legislature has given us this opportunity. So far, 16 Indiana municipalities have established them. Fort Wayne has established 2. Each municipality can do up to 7. Jared Logsdon has been running point on this process since the beginning, and he will explain more in just a couple of minutes. The next item I have is the 2025 budget. We all met for the first budget workshop on August 12th. I think that was a very good start to the public budgeting process. A lot of good feedback from you and from our department heads, and we have made some adjustments. Now, in the first workshop, we talked about bringing in one new police officer, one new employee for parks, and a mid-year hire for DPW, but we didn't talk about any new firefighters. And I have heard loud and clear that we need new firefighters from council members, from the public, from the fire chief, and other staff members. So by sharpening our pencils and digging down, we have found a way to bring in 4 new firefighters in 2025. With salary, training, and benefits, the cost of that on the high end is, as you see on the screen, about $520,000. So we have an updated fee schedule before you this evening that's estimated to add about $148,000 to our revenue in 2025. Our billing partner for EMS, MedBill, estimates that revenues this year will be higher by about $171,000, so those funds can revert into the 2025 budget. We had a line item for an economic development manager in 2025 that we do not plan to fill, so we can commit that salary to new firefighters. That's a rate of about $134,000, and our 2025 healthcare premium for town employees will be about 80% less than anticipated, or about $80,000 less than anticipated. We had budgeted 7%, came in at about 4%. So if you add all this together, that gets us to $530,000 that we can devote to those 4 new firefighters. And this gives us just a little bit of pad in case the projections fall short. So here's where we are in the budget process right now. We are going to post the budget on our website on September 6th. The first public reading and comment session on the finalized budget will be September 16th, and then a second public reading and formal approval on October 7th, and I believe we are on track to accomplish those dates and meet those goals. And that is all I have right now. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right, are there any updates from councilors? Okay, we'll move on to old business. The first item of old business is the consideration of an ordinance amending the Town of Zionsville fee schedule. This is ordinance 2024-22. This is a final reading. We have Chief Van Gorder, Mike Dale, Director of Planning and Building, and Lance Lance, DPW Director, here to present if there are questions.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Us department heads come before you this evening for consideration of this ordinance. I would note, included in your packet this evening, there are some revisions from the first reading. Those revisions are noted on page 1 of Exhibit A. As you may recall, during our preliminary discussions, speak specifically to the fire department, it's the last item for the fire department failed new construction inspections. We were asked to consider implementing a revised fee schedule that would include an escalating fee should developers or contractors continue to fail these commercial inspections. So we have made that amendment, and that would be the first failed inspection would be the $100 fee, then it would raise to $200, and then $500 for the third and subsequent inspections thereafter. That's the only change within the fire department. Chief Spears is here as well. They also, the police department had made some nominal changes that you had not first read in under solicitor permits in 3 different areas that are rather minimal. He's happy to answer any questions you may have, and I believe Mike Dale and Lance are here as well to answer any questions you have.
Mike Dale, Planning Department. I'd like to note that there are 2 typos in the proposed ordinance on page 8 of 12 under Planning and Building Department signs. It's at the lower half or lower 1/3 of that page under Planning and Building Department signs. About the 3rd or 4th row in that box referring to on-premise building identification, wall projecting an awning canopy. The ordinance in front of you reads $100 times $1 per square foot of sign area. That should say $100 plus $1 per square foot of sign area. And then the other typo, it's not so much a typo, but it's kind of strangely written. The last row in that table, referring to off-premise advertising signs, currently reads $1 per square foot of sign area, 390 plus 1.00. That's kind of a confusing. What it ought to say is $390 plus $1 per square foot of sign area. So there's no substantive changes, just clarifications on how the text should read on those two items. Otherwise, there's no other changes.
If this were to get approved tonight, do we need to call those into the
Yeah, we would approve it with the corrected typos.
two corrected typos?
Thank you.
Can-
Yes.
Mike, just so I'm following along, first off, Counselor Plunkett, or may I ask a question?
Certainly.
Can you restate that last one very quickly?
Yes. The last row in the bottom table, referring to off-premise, parentheses, advertising, in parentheses, currently reads plus $1 per square foot of sign area, $390 plus 1.00. It should read $390 plus $1 per square foot of sign area.
Thank you.
Okay?
Other questions from counselors?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
The only thing I have is something that we kind of discussed at the last town council meeting. Jamie, I appreciate you, Chief Van Gorder, I appreciate your reaching back out via email on this. And it really is regarding the friends and family CPR classes that we will offer between 1 and 2 times per year. And that's a CPR full class and skills, no certification. We have it on there as $35 per person. And I think via our email, we talked about it possibly costing about $2,000 in your budget for that to be able to be managed in the upcoming year. And I'm inclined to see if there's any interest by this council to approve this fee schedule with that addendum to where there is no fee for the Friends and Family CPR classes for the year. However, I don't want them to disappear because there's no budget for them, and we're in the talks with budget talks as we speak. So, I guess that's really my biggest concern. It's something that I had interest in. I think I understand the value of if somebody doesn't pay for it, they're not going to receive it. They may not show up. Excuse me. They may sign up. It's free, but I don't know. I strongly feel that if we have capable, willing firemen, I know we're short 4. It sounds like a minimum of 4. We're going to get 4, hopefully, through our budgeting cycle. I would just really like to see that struck from this as a $35 per person, and we offer it to the public, friends and family for free at a maximum of 2 times per year. Minimum 1. I know we have some fundraisers coming up too, and maybe we can get a generous donor to help out. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this outside of our email?
No, sir. I appreciate the question and the follow-up opportunity. I would say that I would suggest you leave it in the fee ordinance because, as I said, our target individuals for that is 500-plus individuals, which is much more than the $2,000. It would cost us about $2,000 to host 2 programs per year, which we're committed to being able to do. We would just ask that we would be able to continue to be able to provide those classes for friends and family, non-certification rate, if there were additional requests that we have willing participants. Did have a chance to speak with our instructors and asked if we had anybody that asked for any hardship or assistance in the applications, and we have not had those. I think it's a great service to be able to add cost-free, but the cost to do those classes numerous times is much greater than the $2,000 that we had spoke of. It's just $2,000 to offer those couple classes per year. So as we are sitting today, there's no need to change the fire department budget that the mayor's put together. We can do the 2 classes for free, but I would ask that we keep the $35 in there for additional programs should the request be made from the community to teach those classes. And if we get corporate sponsorship, we can continue to offer classes throughout the year on a free basis.
So I guess just as a point of clarification, are you saying we do 2 classes now for free already?
We do not.
We do not?
So
Okay.
This would be something new, and it's discussion with the council and stuff that we worked with the CPR, that we can provide those within the budget parameters we have today.
Got it. And then you mentioned nobody's requested any hardship. Do we have funds available if somebody does? If somebody comes in
Our
and says?
instructors work with individuals that request hardship to get those taken care of.
Yeah. Okay.
May I ask a question? Chief, I think I was under the impression that the 2,000 was for 4 times a year. And so that's when, I think you and I spoke, and I said, I'm really just looking for 2 times. And I'm okay with the $35 for additional times. It's more, as long as we're providing an opportunity for people who might have the barriers. And it might encourage extra people in our town that maybe could afford it but get drug along by a friend, because I think the more people in our town that are trained, we all benefit from that.
Agreed 100%.
And then the other question that I had that was in relation to that, would these friends and family classes be open to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts age? Is there an age when that can be taught? I didn't know.
It's a non-certification based
Right.
program. It's up to the instructor to deem their ability to comprehend the material that's available.
Okay.
I would still say that whether it be ASHE, which is another certification, or American Heart Association, we teach both certification programs. That's the preferred recommendation, especially for those in the healthcare or provider. But the friends and family non-certification based programs are much shorter in duration and much easier to deploy to the community. And both have great needs and benefit.
How often are our CPR classes offered?
Monthly currently.
And is it just a 1-day?
Currently, yes, and we gauge based upon the responses. If there are more requests or courses fill up, then we would offer more. But right now, there's a standing 1 class per month.
Okay. I only asked so that the dialogue is had in a meeting that maybe someone is watching and decides to sign up. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think it's possible with discussion like this that we could even see scenarios where people didn't even know this was an option, right? And then they reach out and, if we get into a spot where there is a need for some type of hardship or something, we can, consider it then.
Yeah, I learned through this fee schedule update about these classes.
Yeah.
One of those.
One last comment, this is kind of just catering to the public, that in my experience as a contractor, I was given an opportunity to do some work as a plumber's helper, and it took me to the construction site. And as soon as I got that opportunity, I changed the course of my working career because I enjoyed that so much. And I would love if this ends up with where we have some people, Boy Scouts, whoever, somebody that didn't have the desire to go into either law enforcement or the fire service, and they get this experience. And then that's our next firefighter in the next, 5-10 years from now, just because they had that experience. So that's casting out a vision, but I think that it's very possible that happens, just like you kind of mentioned. So I'm okay with, and I understand better why and how this has come to surface with the price point, and I would be accepting of the current situation as is moving forward.
Do we need to write in there with biannual offerings in a fee schedule so that people who look it up see that opportunity, or do we not put it in there at all? Okay.
I wouldn't.
For the record, I would suggest not putting it in there. We're committing on public record that we'll provide at least 2. We had talked about 2 or 4, and I think working with our CPR coordinators, we can look and see what the need is and provide at least 2 and up to 4.
Okay,
That's amazing. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions from counselors, I would,
Can I just make one very quick comment?
Yeah.
I just wanted to thank Mike, Lance, and then Chief Potts, and George is not here, but there was a lot of work that went on behind the scenes to accomplish this, and they came with the facts and the data, and so I wanted to publicly acknowledge all of you for your efforts in getting this done, and I forgot as well, Chief, thanks for all your work as well. So, yeah, I want to just emphasize that a great deal of work and thought and actually analysis was put into this, so excited to move this forward. Thank you.
And I do think that it's good for the public to know that a lot of comparison was being done between area municipality rates and our rate, and that was a lot of the foundation behind the numbers that they came up with. And I also appreciate how much work you've been doing on this. I know that I was at a department head meeting, I'm going to say in February, and you were still talking about this at that point. So it's been quite a year of pulling this information together, so good job.
All right, are there any other questions from counselors? Having none, I would make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-22 on final reading with the corrected typos from Director of Planning and Building, Mike Dale.
Second.
I have a second from Counselor Norris. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is a consideration of an ordinance establishing fire and park donation funds. This is ordinance 2024-23. We do have Deputy Director of Finance and Records, Mia Riley, here if there are questions. Anything from counselors? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance 2024-23.
Second.
I have a first from Counselor Norris, a second from Counselor Sampson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Last item of old business is the consideration of an ordinance terminating Fund 2420. This is ordinance 2024-24. Again, we have Deputy Director of Finance and Records, Mia Riley, here if needed. Are there any questions from counselors? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make another motion to approve ordinance 2024-24 on final reading.
Second.
I have a first from Counselor Norris and a second from Counselor Sampson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is the first item of new business. This is a consideration of an ordinance to establish a designated outdoor refreshment area, otherwise known as DORA. This is ordinance 2024-25. This is a first reading, and we have Superintendent of Parks and Recreation, Jared Logston, to present.
Thank you, President Plunkett. Good evening, council. Make sure my screen's up there real quick. All right. The Zionsville downtown area has a distinct charm many communities desire with its restaurants, shops, festivals, concerts, and events. To further enhance the quality of life enjoyed by residents and visitors, promote economic activity within our downtown merchant district, and support community gatherings that celebrate our traditions, the town of Zionsville desires to establish a designated outdoor refreshment area within our downtown merchant area. The establishment of this area would encourage outdoor leisure and enjoyment by providing a designated area to permit 21 and over individuals to purchase alcoholic beverages from approved alcoholic beverage permittees and carry them outside to be consumed within the area's designated boundaries. This initiative seeks to promote vibrancy for residents and visitors and provide new opportunities to enjoy shopping and dining, increase foot traffic to local businesses, and promote a welcoming and walkable spirit of our downtown. So what is a DORA? As I mentioned, effective July 1, 2023, the Indiana Senate authorized Indiana municipalities to create up to 7 designated outdoor refreshment areas within a town with approval from the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. A DORA is a specific area designated as exempt from the carryout restrictions placed upon retail establishments that have alcohol beverage permits. So Indiana does not have an open container law for public spaces, simply just in motor vehicles. The establishment of a DORA would not increase our insurance policies for the town or the insurance requirements of the vendors that would be designated permittees. Permittees would be required to serve alcohol in a responsible manner just as they do as current holders of alcohol permits. Adults must continue to drink responsibly and follow all applicable laws and local ordinances. And currently, there are 24 active or pending DORAs within the state of Indiana. Because this law and these adjustments are so new, we did some research with other states that had successful DORAs, and our neighbors to the east, Ohio, have had their DORA program implemented since 2015, and I wanted to provide a brief video for you all to view. All right, 1 second.
A DORA is a designated outdoor refreshment area.
So it gives visitors the opportunity to go into bars and restaurants and actually take their adult beverages with them.
In really simple terms, a DORA is a designated area in which you get a limited exception to Ohio's open container law.
So it's an area where a patron can get a drink from one of our restaurants and just walk around throughout that area and visit the retail stores or enjoy an event, outdoor music.
A couple things to keep in mind is, one, the hours. So make sure to check the website that you are within the DORA hours while you're visiting. The boundaries are also important, so you'll find signage.
Most importantly, though, we ask people to keep in mind is please finish your drink before you enter another liquor establishment, so they don't get sideways on their liquor control rules.
You go into a liquor establishment that participates, so you would ask for a DORA drink.
It is a specific cup that you have to use. It has all of the rules on there, so it makes it super easy. Make sure you're using that cup anytime you're outside of the establishment. The feedback has been extremely positive from users of the DORA and also of the businesses.
We have had absolutely no problem. People have been very respectful. They almost always ask before they walk in, can we bring this in?
The biggest misconception is people just run around with too much to drink. What we've seen is just people walking around with a glass of wine or a beer, and it really, I think, benefits the uptown community so that people don't just stand outside and they actually come into the shops.
It's done exactly what it was supposed to do as far as being an economic development tool.
You come up here in the evenings and you want to sip and stroll and look around, you have that option, which is exactly what we wanted.
All right, so the impacts of DORA in Ohio. So as I mentioned, in 2015, DORA was established in the state of Ohio. And in 2021, the community of Troy, Ohio, which has a population today of 26,000, explored a DORA in their community. So the city of Troy, at the time there was 56 established DORAs, and they surveyed 40 of those and received 25 responses back. Of those 25 responses, all communities responded that they plan to keep their DORA districts permanent. The municipalities said that 18 said that no impact, and 6 said that there was minimal impact to the sanitation of their DORA area. 24 communities, or 96% within the DORA, reported no increase in crime. 21 communities, which is 84%, stated that they felt there was no need for increased police presence within their downtown area. 20 communities, or 80%, listed increased foot traffic and sales, and 5% listed that it was too early to tell. 20 communities listed the DORA as a very well-received initiative, while 4 listed initial minor concerns. And 23 of the 25 communities recommended the creation of a DORA. 1 was neutral, stating that each community should make that decision for themselves, and 1 omitted that. So I had a chance to reach out to Troy, Ohio, just today and speak with their Main Street Association, which now oversees their DORA program. And they gave us a little history that there was initially a fear of disorderly conduct, and 3.5 years later they have seen No occurred instances, even at their events, they're not seeing that behavior. They're seeing plenty of family events that are enhanced by their downtown Dora. Most activities where outside of special events where Dora members carry a glass are usually on Saturdays in fair weather. And retailers have enjoyed the increased activity, and the community of Troy, Ohio utilizes a red-green decal system. So if a merchant wishes to have a beverage enter their place, they'll have the green decal and vice versa with the red. So our goal in Zionsville is to establish a designated outdoor refreshment area within our downtown area. It'll be a defined area where alcoholic beverages can be purchased in a designated container from participating establishments and carried and enjoyed within that Dora district. The Dora is meant to support and foster economic activity, enhance the vibrancy and walkability of our downtown area, and promote community celebrations. So currently, without the Dora, our established restaurants within the Village District have barriers between them and participating in special events because they have their alcohol permit with a brick and mortar store. The establishment of a Dora would remove that barrier and literally remove the requirements for fencing of patios and other areas so that they could become merchants of those special events simply by their proximity to the established Dora. So within the ordinance, there is an exhibit on the proposed downtown Dora boundary map. So requirements for the Dora, it has to be continuous parcels that are traced. So we utilized west and east Poplar between 2nd Street and Elm Street and continued that down until Zionsville Road where the public house is. So within this footprint, if approved, adult beverages would be able to be purchased from designated permittees and carried and walked in public spaces.
Jared, do we have the ability to modify this at some point?
If we do. So we can actually adjust the boundaries. Just the requirement is that it has to be continuous.
Okay. I guess the, if you're okay with this, because we get all the stuff in the packet, so we've all reviewed this. Has there been feedback from council or staff negatively about this at all?
I've not received any negative feedback on this.
I mean, can I ask just one?
Yeah,
So,
I had a couple questions. But
Yeah, go ahead.
so just, Jared, back to that boundary map. So, because I noticed the Creekside and the Ray Hall, like that could be eventually roped into this Dora area?
Yes.
Because it's contiguous?
Yes.
Do they have to be contiguous or continuous?
Continuous and contiguous, so it has to utilize parcel shapes. So the reason we elected to not include Creekside Corporate at this time was just the common areas and things in between, what it would take to get over there. But even if we don't amend this footprint, we have the ability to create 6 more, should this one be approved. So we could create additional Dora districts.
6 more additional Dora districts?
Yes, so each municipality is offered 7 Dora districts.
And this one can be theoretically as large as we would want it to be, as long as it's continuous and contiguous?
Continuous, yep.
Okay, thank you.
my question was, has everyone agreed that has been talked to? I saw that there were 4 businesses that have said they wanted to be the Dora Cup alcohol providers. Like, what about the public house and pubs, and like, were they not interested at this time, or did you just need 4 and that was?
So this was a team initiative, and the town partnered with the chamber, who already had those contacts, and provided a survey. And these were the survey responses within the designated timeframe to meet this council's agenda. We're happy to reach out again to more, should they want to be included in this initial round. And also, we can add additional designated permittees in the future within this footprint.
I think I asked about Ray Hall, because I knew they were having, even their coffee bar was opening, or coffee store was opening. And I thought I was told that that would be possibly another Dora rather than an add to this one.
And it absolutely could be. It just, how we trace it, and it has to be continuous amongst itself, whether we just wanted to have a specialized one within Creekside Corporate, or alternatively, if there's additional businesses to the north or south or east, that makes sense for including in that as well.
Right, and I had asked about Lions Park, if the clubhouse would be considered to be part of it, and it was explained that it was a private.
We reached out to the Lions and asked if they inquired if they wanted to be included in this initial DORA map, and they elected not to, so that was the reason, just to
Okay.
respect that.
And are the neighbors, have they been approached at all? Like the people who live right on the border in the village and even down by 106th Street? Have they been alerted to what is possibly happening next door?
No, they have not been alerted, but we would certainly welcome that now that it is in the public forum, those comments over the next 2 weeks. So despite the layout of the DORA, you know, the pedestrian right-of-ways and sidewalks are truly where this foot traffic will take place. So as kind of egregious as the Taylor Oil property might look, that's not where we would expect the pedestrian flow by any means.
In section 12, there was the carryout privileges, and I was just trying to follow along with what it did to it. It said carryout of sealed original containers may occur, but these containers shall not be opened or consumed in the downtown DORA. So that confused me a little, because we're saying you can take this out, but not that.
Correct. So
It has to be in the cup. Is that telling me like you can't sell a bottle of something? That's what I was.
if the merchant is selling the bottle opened, it could be applicable to the DORA program if it's one of the beverages listed within the ordinance, which is beer, flavored malt drinks, cider, wine, and pre-mixed liquor cocktails, as well as poured liquor mixed drinks to a certain quantity. So if it is in those parameters and the merchant has the authorization to open it and pour it out, then it could be a part of the DORA. But I believe there are different restrictions and abilities with a sealed product versus serving.
So I was thinking like salty, having margaritas. Does that count?
If they can serve that to their customers, then they could serve that in a DORA cup.
But then they would have to be included as one of the designees, because right now we just have 4. And
Yep.
since they're not one of those 4, they can't serve it.
Absolutely.
And you can't come into their restaurant with the cup, because that's one of the rules, that you can't come in
Correct.
if you've gone into a place that serves alcohol.
Correct. So any DORA beverages would have to be finished before they stepped foot in that establishment that also serves alcohol.
But could you go back in the place where you bought it?
With an empty drink, yes. I
What
think there
about
would be
with the
some
drink?
liability if you,
I'm trying to think of while people are waiting
Yeah.
for their table, can they go out and back in, or do they have to slam their drink before they get back in and buy another one?
yeah, I think there, and I can clarify with the ATC, but I assume there would be some liability if you left with an open drink and tried to come back in, which is the reason that, to not conflict with the alcohol control measures that are already in place with an alcohol permit, I think they separated those on purpose.
Jared, what's the process that a business would go through if they were not a part of the initial group? And then, so a new restaurant opens up and this thing's already been launched, and they want to become a part of that. Who approves that? Does it come before us? How's that happen?
Yes, so that would come before both the town and the ATC for approval, and it would just amend the established designated permittees. So we could control that process in-house, either through town council approval or through the administration or department. There's some flexibility in that, additional approvals after the initial ordinance.
I think that's section 13, when it says, following ATC approval of downtown DORA, retailer permittee operating in the DORA who wishes to receive a designated permittee status must complete the applicable form and obtain approval by signature from Zionsville Deputy Mayor. Once signed, the form may be submitted to the ATC as part of the retailer's application process.
There we are. Yep, sorry, we were discussing that still, so.
Yeah.
Yep,
So we approve the boundaries. Once that's approved, anybody inside the boundaries then comes to town hall, gets their permit, signed by the deputy mayor, and then submitted to the ATC, and then they can get their own cups and with their own names on it. They have to, right? Get their own cups with their own names on it.
Yep, so part of the ordinance is to have a branded cup, so we have some level of control.
Yeah.
Or sticker, which would also be branded.
So it'd be a cup, the same cup that they all use, or would it say like Cobblestone and on the back side say DORA?
We could make those adjustments. I think a universal cup, just with the rules and the logo, should be sufficient. You know, if we have additional issues, we could always change the branding on the cup. Kind of the thought would be there would be an initial rollout of cups that would be provided, and then after that, they would have to make those connections with vendors to get them reproduced after that.
I mean, I do think there's been, you hear about places that put the name of the businesses on there, obviously to help curb, you know, littering and, you know, stuff like that too, right? If you see, you know, a whole bunch of cups from one particular business, you know, then you can have that conversation. I do think that makes sense to do that at some point, perhaps after, to your point, the initial rollout there.
So I got a couple things, if I may. Sure. So I actually have got some experience with Dora's here recently. I've applied for 2 on the local business standpoint, from the local business standpoint. And from the small business, we're required to put a rope around. So we're not doing that. We're not doing any barricades. This is going to be all year round, and with the hours of Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., and then Sunday, 12 to 8. So my question is, you know, it seems like a lot of the businesses here in town close well before that 11 p.m. Number, that time. How did you come up with that time for this is the first question. I've got some follow-up questions with that regarding cost, but 11 p.m.
So we wanted to pick a reasonable time that we thought any special events would sunset. So, you know, you get your last drink of the night within that 10
I'm gonna
o'clock
have you
hour.
stop there for just a second. So you said special events. So my understanding is, you know, we're gonna get more crowds of people during special events, and that's when we'll have this this opportunity for people to come in and out of shops and things. The shops might stay open later. Are we currently doing Doras for the special events like the street dance and things of that already?
No, so there are no established DORAs. This body would be the one to approve the first district should it move forward. Currently, any special event would have to have a partitioned area if they are serving adult beverages. So that's your beer gardens, that's your patios with your fencing and et cetera.
Which is similar to what I've experienced. So with regards to the cups, you know, so that cost is going to be initially, you're saying the town of Zionsville will pay for those cups and distribute those. So the town of Zionsville will basically be, you know, promoting and providing alcohol cups to these vendors that are going to turn around and sell those for profit. I'm not too happy about that. I don't really like that idea, just FYI. But secondly, we talked about branded signage, placards, street prints, cost. Do you have a idea of how much all this is going to cost on the front end?
Yeah, so to speak to that as a potential economic driver in our downtown area to support and foster the business that's already occurring there, we felt that there could be funds within the town's annual distributions of food and beverage and other opportunities to fund that initial onset of the program. That would fund any initial cups that we did provide to designated permittees, as well as fund the signage that would be placed at the pedestrian entrances and exits to the DORA.
So you're thinking using food and beverage tax?
Yes, that's one opportunity.
And you mentioned a scenario of somebody walking in and out of an establishment. And you mentioned that the town wouldn't have any increased liability. And you mentioned maybe it's increasing liability on the vendor, Salty was the example of somebody walking in and out. That just sounds kind of risky to put more liability on the establishment, I guess. I know they have to sell and be reasonable and not and be careful not to overserve. But I'm a little concerned about that because you said it doesn't increase it on the town, but then it potentially puts it on our businesses back as that increased liability. And then the other thing that we mentioned is that now, I mean, it went from cup to bottle during this conversation, and that's kind of frustrating and scary because I feel like it's going to go into people bringing their own drinks to our events and sharing and or maybe not selling them, of course, because they're probably wiser than that. Because, however, it almost like may impact negatively the shops and businesses because they're bringing their own alcohol, and then it becomes a little bit of the Wild West of, well, where'd you get that bottle? Well, that bottle's registered, you know, I've gotten them before over here, so I can bring them. I don't know, I'm a little concerned, so.
Absolutely, and I can speak to that. So with the establishment of a DORA, carrying in outside alcohol would not be permitted. That would be a prohibited behavior. So
There's no barrier, right?
there is the signage, so once it is within those boundaries, again, that's why we want to move towards a branded strategy. So it won't be a random bottle, it won't be a random cup. It would be a branded cup or a bottle with a DORA sticker on it. So that would be an easy identifier for those merchants, as you mentioned. And I didn't mention that their insurance or liabilities would increase. I mentioned that there would not be an increase, and it would remain their responsibility to appropriately serve alcohol as they do with their existing alcohol permit. So as they saw those branded cups entering their establishment, they could stop them at the door, have them finish them before they came in, and then ultimately make the judgment about whether they wish to serve that patron based on the skills they've acquired at determining that.
So you said we have barricades. Is that a DORA, is that still a DORA? Maybe I'm misunderstanding private business versus the municipal DORA. When you do the holiday events, that is a DORA. It just is a DORA that has boundaries. Is that correct? Or
No. So again, there has not been a DORA established in Zionsville. So a DORA is a designated outdoor refreshment area. So there would be parameters to that. Currently, as a special event rolls into town and may have alcohol vendors, those have to be designated within their special event application, and they have to take the appropriate steps to stanchion off or fence off that area where they're serving.
Yeah, I think maybe as a point of clarification, going back to, again, this is simply a map that is drawn, and people can participate in this or not. They have the choice to do that, so it doesn't, we're not passing the buck on to anybody as it relates to liability. But it's also worth noting, I mean, you can't walk down the street with a can of Busch Light. I mean, it's got to have somebody's cup and name on there. And you can't walk down the street with an empty or with an unlabeled bottle either. So you can't say, I got a bottle from over here, I got a bottle from over there. I mean, it's pretty.
That takes me to the next question. So is that, so with my experience with the ATC, you know, there's not very many of those people around, those people in that governing these things. They do it kind of under the radar, and they show up every now and then. But so is there going to be added policing to watch the labels on the bottles? And I mean, so it just seems like with what we just did recently with expanding our coverage, now we have, we're going to increase our need for more policing of where'd you get that cup, where'd you get that bottle. I mean, somebody mentioned something about debris and litter. I mean, I don't know that that's the case, but it's just, I feel like the policing of it's going to be a challenge too. I mean, I'm just nervous as I went through the whole process. I do know that ADORA, in my case, took 48 hours to get approved, so it's not that difficult to get something like that approved. So why would we not just do ADORA per event, and as opposed to, you know, expanding to an area where there's not even construction?
Right. So again, a special event application that has alcohol vendors is different than ADORA. So within that special event, they are determining their footprint where they are following ATC guidelines. The establishment of ADORA literally removes some of those barriers, so that it essentially removes the carry-out restriction from retail establishments. So that beverage with that 21 and up adult can leave that establishment and be consumed within that DORA. So that provides an opportunity for someone with a drink to walk down Main Street, see a boutique they want to go into, notice the DORA decal saying beverages welcome, and have that experience in the shop. And again, any merchants that wish not to participate in this, they would either have a decal that says they are not DORA participating, or that we simply would not have the decal allowing that, whichever direction we decide to go.
I do think it sounds like we're going to need more trash cans, but also that, I mean, Craig, you are right, the timing of it, while it sounds great, and I know it encompasses our special events, if our restaurants all close at 9, and that just means everyone can get a drink before they leave and go stand in the streets. So would we need more streetlights and police at that point in time? That's, I mean, that's like a,
My bigger question is restrooms.
yeah.
That's gonna be an
Much rather see
issue.
you focus on restroom.
I mean,
Yeah,
something to think about.
that is true. They kind of have to go hand in hand.
Jared, you wanted to be known for putting restrooms in town as the
Yeah.
Parks Director.
I have said that.
This is a better opportunity here, rather than the alcohol. But I appreciate the conversation. Like I said, I think maybe I'm crossing lines with private business practice and on an island versus in a downtown setting. And that may be where I'm having some confusion.
President Plunkett, may I?
Yes.
I, first and foremost, I am fully supportive of the DORA, and I think it makes total sense. I just want us to think back to maybe 2011, 2012, when the city of Indianapolis, when we brought the Super Bowl here, and then we kind of abrogated the laws about open carry. I kind of see that same kind of scenario happening here, where it's really, I frankly, I don't see some of the issues forthcoming with people standing in the street and getting wildly drunk. I think it's going to be just completely fine. I'm fully supportive of this, and I think it's a great move.
So the last comment to your point, you know, we have a little bit uneven sidewalks, we have a curve in the road. It just seems like it's a little riskier unless we have the road shut off, which makes complete sense, as opposed to, that's just my final comment on that, so.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the DORA temporary permittee locations? I looked at that map and it had different, I don't know.
Yes, I'm happy to go through that. Just for public knowledge, would you mind if I read the rules real quick on this page?
Sure.
If that's all right? Okay. Zionsville's downtown DORA would be in effect year-round, January 1 through December 31st. Monday through Saturday, the proposed hours would be 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday would be noon to 8 p.m. DORA beverages may be purchased only at participating establishments or from authorized temporary vendors. Beverages must be in a designated plastic cup with the DORA logo or with the DORA sticker. Only DORA branded drinks are permitted outside of participating establishments within the DORA boundaries. Patrons must be age 21 and over and may enjoy DORA beverages outside staying within the DORA boundaries, may purchase and carry out up to 2 DORA drinks at a time. That is also the maximum. May carry DORA drinks into their favorite shops if a DORA decal is displayed in the window. DORA cups must be disposed of before entering another bar or restaurant within the DORA boundaries. Outside alcoholic beverages are not permitted to be consumed within the DORA boundaries. Prepackaged beverages are not permitted to be dispensed within the DORA. So they could still be sold but not consumed. Possession of an open container of an alcoholic beverage in a motor vehicle may constitute a Class C infraction under IC 93015. Safety and local ordinances are strictly enforced. Patrons participating in the DORA should enjoy the DORA responsibly, respect the residents and businesses, and never drink and drive. So again, as we would unveil that signage and branding, it would be, it would reflect the character and aesthetic of our downtown merchants and our brick street. So creating a unique Zionsville logo that complements characters of the town and the downtown area, and brand all cups and boundary signage for easy recognition and awareness. So as I mentioned, there are required to have signage at every pedestrian access route. So the signage plan proposes 31 signs. Some of those would be standing signs on posts, but we also have the opportunity to have those pavement decals and markers as you saw in the video. So provided are some examples of what that signage would look like. We would implement a QR code so that no matter the decal or sign, they could read the full rules and mapping online on our website. So as mentioned, there are 4 businesses that are interested upon the initial survey. We'd be happy to send that out again to see if we receive any additional before we would proceed. Those were Hopwood Cellars, Rush on Main, Cobblestone, and the Friendly Tavern. So those would be our year-round designated permittees, and as they close, that would be the end of the DORA for the night. So the only alternative to that would be if there is a temporary approved designated permittee with a special event. Speaking of special events, so within the DORA application, you have to identify where a temporary vendor could set up. So obviously, they don't have a brick and mortar establishment. So we used each town property as well as the right-of-ways within our application. So obviously, we know there are roads that we would never close for a special event, but in the instance that we are changing traffic patterns or something, we would at least have that approved with the DORA. So for example, if Main Street were closed, temporary vendors could set up within Main Street on the bricks and serve from their establishment, their temporary establishment. So each temporary permittee would have to be approved by both the town and the ATC, and the ATC needs 5 days notice before your special event. So because Zionsville has a special event application process, we would build that within the questionnaire that as special events come before us, they would have that information to apply and get that approval.
May I ask a question? So we got ATC, we got the town of Zionsville. So if a establishment does something accidentally or whatever, and the town of Zionsville deems it necessary to pull that access to the DORA, essentially the town of Zionsville would make that referral to the ATC to say, hey, we're going to pull their access to the DORA.
I do not have that answer for you, but I'd be happy to reach out to the ATC.
You see what I mean? Like,
do.
it sounds like it's ATC, Zionsville, and then the establishment.
And I would just mention, if there was some violation of a law, I think notifying the ATC might allow them to investigate, and should that establishment lose their liquor license or be cited, that might be actionable for removing them from the DORA or their license altogether. But again, that responsibility falls to the professionals that are already providing that service.
Jared, I appreciate the presentation. I think this is a great idea. I think this is a long time coming for the town. I would like to see, obviously this is a first reading, so we can make modifications over the next couple weeks. Understanding that this DORA also goes along public pathways and right-of-ways. If we did go to Creekside by using the pathway through Creekside, that would be both continuous and contiguous, correct?
So we would have to explore the exact route, but there are several parcels and odd shapes associated with Creekside, which is kind of why we left it off this initial DORA, because it felt vestigial and we weren't sure that foot traffic would head that way, just because of how it would be laid out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would behoove us to meet with the folks at Ray Hall. They've mentioned time and time again that they want to have opportunity for folks to connect from downtown to their establishment, the restaurant, car club, all that stuff. I think it would be, especially understanding that there's a trail that runs right through there, and if we can utilize that to connect that, I think that would be a good idea. But I appreciate the work that you put in on this. I know I know it's a lot, and again, I appreciate it, and I'm wholeheartedly supportive of this. So,
thank you.
Questions for counselors?
I got one more comment. I would love to see support from the VRA and the VBD on this. If there's, we haven't told them about it. Now they're seeing us publicly here on this, but Village Business District and Village Residents.
Well, the Chamber's been engaged in this. The Chamber's been involved. It's not like this just came out of the closet yesterday.
We have four vendor, 4 out of what, 8?
Well, they're the ones that said they wanted to participate right out of the gate, so.
I do agree that we need to make sure, I said that earlier, have you talked to them? You said, no, we will. Just, make sure it's well posted and be open for feedback. And obviously, people can contact me from the village if they would like me to be a conduit to Jared.
Any other questions from counselors? I would entertain a motion at this point.
I'll make a motion to introduce on first reading ordinance 2024-25.
I'll second that. I have a first from Councilor Norris, second from President Plunkett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
No. Aye.
Motion passes 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Up next is other matters. There's a couple things real quick I just want to point out. Obviously, Lions Club throws Fall Festival here this weekend. It's a great event. I would encourage everyone to attend. Also, we have another budget workshop from counselors this week, if it's available, or if you're available for it. I know the mayor sent out an email requesting feedback, and there's been a little bit of feedback. I believe most of those have been addressed or at least communicated with. So if that workshop isn't needed, then I would hope that we would be able to move forward to budget presentation at the next available meeting and then be able to move this forward in a timely fashion. So again, if there are questions for the administration or for the mayor, for department heads or anybody else, please email Mayor Stair here in the next couple days. And if you need to attend the workshop, do that. If you don't, it would also be good to know so we could cancel it if not needed. So, anything else from counselors? I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second from Counselor Norris. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. The next regular town council meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 16, 2024 at 7:30 a.m. in the Zionsville Town Hall Council Chambers. Final notice will be posted in compliance with the Indiana Open Door Law. Thank you.